Welcome, listeners, to Thru the Sightglass, a podcast that dives deep into the fascinating world of craft beer and celebrates the incredible individuals who shape its vibrant landscape. Join us on a journey where we explore the nuances of this amazing industry and the remarkable people who contribute to its richness and diversity. And today we get to sit down with an old and longtime friend, Spencer, of Sceptre Brewing Arts. Thank you for making time for us in your busy day, buddy.
Yeah, of course. I'm so happy y'all are here.
Thank you, Spencer. We're so excited.
So I know we just kind of introduced you, but we're going to ask you your name and then what your role is here at Sceptre Brewing Arts.
Sure, yeah. I'm Spencer Wills. I'm the brewmaster here at Sceptre Brewing Arts. Been here for almost exactly 2 years as of recording today, so it'll be a couple weeks, but...
Nice.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, so excited.
It's been a good time, so...
Yeah.
Fuck yes.
Very cool. We like to understand and know, where did you grow up? What was that experience like?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I was born in San Francisco.
Oh, very cool.
Oh, West Coast baby.
Yeah, I am a West Coast kid at heart. We lived there for about 7 years. Would go back and visit a lot, but lived in Texas for a little bit growing up. Lived in Salt Lake City for a little bit growing up, and then somehow ended up in South Florida. That's where I started high school, and then I went to college at Florida State because it was the furthest big university away from the town I was living in. In South Florida. So, and a bunch of my friends went there too. So, and then I was there. I got my undergrad in. I double majored in poli-sci and sport management, and then I got my master's degree in sport management there.
Okay.
So I did 6 years of school, and then
What was your plan?
I was going to get my PhD in that actually,
Okay.
in sport management specifically because I like social science stuff.
Yeah.
But I got out of it because I learned about academia and all its political bullshit and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I hated it, and I was like, I don't want to do this. And right around the time I was finishing up my thesis, my last semester, there was a brewery in Tallahassee that was opening, and I became friends with the owner and their head bartender. And I was like, hey, I can bartend. I'm not doing anything right now. So
Yeah. The thing I thought I was going to love and do the rest of my life, I'm now building a hatred for.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
What was the brewery that was opening?
it was called Grasslands Brewing Company.
Okay, are they still around?
They're not actually. They
condolences.
went out, yeah, it's it's Florida craft beer circa 2014, 2015 was really crazy. Everyone was opening up a brewery. And there was just a lot of inexperience kind of going on, especially at least from running things on the business end and stuff like that. But I had no idea what I was doing when I got there because I was just bartending. And
To go back, did your family grow up? Were you around alcohol or beer or drinking in college or things?
Drinking cultures for families always vary, I feel like.
Oh yeah. My family drank, but it was never a constant thing, right? There wasn't anyone in my family that my dad, when he got home from work, never cracked open a beer kind of guy.
Oh, okay.
Drinking
It was special events.
Yeah, drinking was for the weekends or special events and parties and stuff like that. But on the West Coast, there used to be 6-packs of Anchor Steam and Sierra Nevada Pale Ale and stuff like that, just kind of around. So I've always been cognizant of craft beer growing up a little bit.
Gotcha.
And my grandfather, who's the most English person you'll ever meet in your entire life, his favorite beer in the world is Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. So
that's awesome.
So I always saw him growing up drinking it.
We just had it on cask over at.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah,
it's
the best.
It was wild.
I will say, even though we tell you you're the 46th episode, we have about 52 podcast episodes lined up already, and I think more than 75% of them is either Stone, Arrogant Bastard, or Sierra Nevada Pale Ale was their turning point of being beer is much more than just golden fizzy liquid.
Yeah. Well, so the one that actually kind of got me into beer though, when I turned 21, I knew that I like craft beer.
Okay.
But in Tallahassee, the big IPA was Cigar City High Life.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So High Life is really what kind of broke me into craft beer as far as being more interested in it. And the first brewery in Tallahassee opened, not technically the first one, but the first big one in Tallahassee opened up around that time too. And they started they had a bottle shop that was probably the best craft beer store in the city.
Oh,
and
awesome.
they had a bar on the other side, and they started brewing in the basement there.
Okay.
And now,
fuck yes.
and now they have a $6 million facility that's a converted Coca-Cola plant. So, really crazy, starting from nothing and going into something huge eventually.
Yeah.
But yeah, the beer culture was just like, there really wasn't one for a long time. So it was really exploratory. And like, I love my time at Grasslands. I love the people that I work with there. I left. I moved to Atlanta after I'd been there for almost 3 years.
Okay,
and
gotcha.
They kept going for a while too, but it's just like it's a small city. There were probably already too many breweries like for it there, and just trying to compete with everyone else at that point was just really tough because like they were in that era where everyone had to be exceptional at what you were doing, and it's like. The first year we were open, we weren't making very good beer there because we were kind of still figuring things out a lot, and people never really forgot that. I think even when we started, even when we started to get a lot better, there's very little room for forgiveness on that end from the consumer, unfortunately.
Well, especially in the time frame that you're talking about, where craft beer, if we're talking about like the 2014 area going on upwards, everybody was super hyper aware. It was very popular, and so a lot of people were consuming and spending a lot on craft beer. And even, it's not saying that anybody else's palate is right or wrong, but if people are spending, I knew friends that were spending $600 a weekend going to, breweries and buying cases and things like that. And the second they found a beer they didn't like from that brewery, if it whether it was oxidized or something, it didn't meet their standard, they're like, oh, I'm not doing that. They're like, I spend, $1,800 a month on beer. If I get one bad batch, fuck this place. Yeah. And so it was a very razor thin margin to produce as much and try to be involved in a bunch of things. But the second you had one bad thing happen to you, it was like a death note.
Yeah, it really was. It was really stressful, honestly. And that was part of the reason I decided to leave too. Yeah. But the other reason I left was just because I had been dating my now wife for about a year, and we were ready to move in together.
Did you meet at college or meet in Tallahassee?
We did meet in Tallahassee. So,
okay, gotcha.
So Grasslands was actually in this kind of mixed use facility. There was a pizza spot, a whiskey bar, and a coffee shop.
Oh, perfect.
And she worked at the coffee shop. So I would.
You went got a lot of coffee.
Oh yeah, a lot of it for free. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it wasn't just the brewer's diet. There was also a pretty girl that.
Yeah, exactly. That definitely sweetened the deal. It was a really good exchange too because she would give me a giant iced coffee as I went in for my day. And then when she would get off, her and her coworkers would go over and we would just give them beer until they decided they didn't want any more. So it was a really good exchange for us.
I'm sure.
100%.
And what did you, going into it, so you're studying something that is not craft beer at all. So going into it, I'm sure you learned so many different things. What was it like to learn? You were already in the mindset of learning, of course, because you're in school. But what was it like learning about all the things that you've probably enjoyed and wanted to understand? What was that like learning all of those things?
It was really intimidating, actually.
Really?
Yeah. It was just. I think like I said, it's just that whole thing where you have to be really good at what you do right off the bat, right?
Yeah.
And I've never been that kind of person. I've always been I need to
take some time.
I need to take some time,
repetitions,
make a lot of mistakes too,
yeah.
and kind of figure it out from there. So it was intimidating, but I did love learning about it. It's what kept me in it.
Right.
Just kind of the drive to get better and better. My very first beer because I never homebrewed either. I just went straight from bartending into helping out, cleaning kegs and doing some cellar work and stuff to brewing wort. And we had to dump my first batch of beer because it was bad.
Hey, hell yeah! I never homebrewed either.
I have respect for people who have been able to make the jump from home brewing into pro brewing and doing a really good job with it. That's really hard to do because you have to unlearn habits, learn about scale, and there's just so many things that don't actually apply properly. So
I think there's a lot of traits that are beneficial to both, but also it just is a scary thing to get into. And a lot of the people that we've learned or mentored from are just being like, yeah, dude, you literally just have to be in the fire. Yeah. And then once you learn how to be in the fire, everything else seems to align with knowledge you previously had like beer theory and then other trade knowledge from another skill that can apply.
Right.
It really does.
Yeah.
It all kind of amalgamates into one thing that works.
Yeah, and I think that was the other thing about just like learning about things and it being intimidating was like I just had training as a social scientist. That's all I had going into full production.
A little bit
brewing.
of science, but
The biggest thing I got out of it was just like technical writing and stuff like that. So I'm
Okay.
really good at writing SOPs, but
yeah, you're like SOPs.
yeah, it's like got that down. But
Yeah. Well, academics are needed too because you can separate information, put it into bite-sized pieces,
Right.
and not only put it into an SOP but teach it.
Right.
I've worked with plenty of people. Again, like I started washing kegs, and I remember, and I tell my wife this constant. This is part of my insecurity, but like I don't think I'm smart. I just knew that if I could practice something enough over and over and over again, I could get it and then translate it to somebody else.
Yeah.
And I think
It's
that's
the same thing with brewing.
yeah, but that's the thing with like beer theory is like you get a bunch of knowledge, but the physical practice is also just as much as the education
Yeah.
as like learning the correct terms, verbiage, and usage. And so here I was just doing all the usage, and then somebody would be like, "What's that?" And I'd be like, "I don't know anything about complex carbs or long chain sugars, but I know like we have to rest this for like 15 minutes.
Right.
Something happens in there."
Yeah.
So I think that is like it's an interesting path, but it definitely shows because I think you going from that one end to then the very trade physical end probably was very helpful.
Yeah, for sure. It was able to. It made it a little easier to just digest new information and like being able to like read academic papers and like when I became an MBAA member and like reading some of the technical journals and stuff like that. It was actually it didn't scare me to read any of those because I've read much drier, much more boring stuff that
Yeah.
Can I ask, what was I feel like, so you're studying, you're in Florida. Was there a beer that you tried that you were like, I want to do this?
Like kind of like the turning point.
Yeah, like what was the thing that kind of made you say, I know I don't want to do this. I don't know where I want to go, but this is great and I want to know more about this.
I
Do you have a
wouldn't
beer?
even say it was necessarily like a specific beer that did that, but it was just more of the culture behind it
culture.
and everything. I was kind of wanted to be a part of that.
That's a
It's
great
like,
answer.
I saw people. I've always just kind of enamored like the whole like pub setting kind of thing as like a communal spot, and it's like it's even cooler like if you go to a place where they make the beer too,
Yeah.
So I think the culture behind it, there was a lot of nerd culture in craft beer that I didn't like right off the bat, but I definitely when I met like other brewers and stuff too, I started to just like love it even more because you get to like nerd out with other people about these things, and
Which is nice when you're like studying something so in depth and you're like, okay, let's talk about details.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So when I started at Grasslands, so the other brewery I was talking about before, they're called Proof Brewing Company, and they're still around, and I'm still pretty good friends with those guys too.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, so go down to Tallahassee like once a year usually, and like hang out with them a little bit.
Cool.
Oh, fuck yeah.
But they like. It's funny actually. I don't know if this is totally true, but I heard that I'm the reason that they had to sign NDAs there because I would go around and start asking them questions about process and stuff.
Hell yeah.
Which is like this is like weirdly flattering in
Yeah.
a silly way, I think. But
Yeah.
but they were always really awesome to me, and like they would try my stuff, and like they'd be very blunt with me too, and be like, yeah, dude, there's like a ton of acetaldehyde in this beer. It's like, what'd you do?
Yeah.
And, and they would. But they'd still like go through the steps with me and stuff and the thing I love about the craft beer community still to this day too, it's that like when people are being critical of you, but they still want to help you. Though,
Yes.
it's not, so I look for critical feedback from a lot of people all the time too.
Yeah.
Because like I've been doing this for almost 10 years now, but I'm still like
You want to learn.
really in my head. I get in my head about stuff, and I still want to
Yeah.
learn stuff.
And you want to improve. I think that's the biggest thing is like, I think no matter who you are, unless it's just a push button thing, like there's probably still always things that you can like learn and grow on.
For sure.
For sure. And everything changes. Like I'm thinking about like the water and the ingredients that you source and the like process that you do, like you could always improve. And so I think someone who is brewing full time, like being able to always improve on the process and being open to suggestions, like I think it's great. I know
yeah.
I'm not a brewer. You are a brewer,
Yeah, I
Austin.
mean, you're pretty much a brewer. You've been involved in enough
I've
collaborations.
literally never
and packaging
brewed.
days.
But I'm
that-
just like, I think the mindset of like, I want to produce the best thing I can with if you think about all the ingredients that you source from all the places that you've sourced it from and where you want it to go, it's like you want to culminate it into the best thing. So it's like
And that's just been such a
great
long...
minds think alike, and then like more than one mind can like help you get there, and I don't know.
That's also just been such a long-standing trait in this industry. And I say industry, it's not just breweries, it's restaurants, it's bars, it's everything. It's like so tight-knit. And people, whether or not somebody, like a group of friends could start at one place, and then let's say 50% of those people would go out and start their own places. Those people weren't necessarily mad they were starting their own places. And when those people need help, they're like, oh, I got you.
Yeah.
And like, that's the thing is like you start to see all these roots grow, and it raises the whole... I'm not trying to get planet Earth like, but it raises the whole ground floor up.
Yeah.
And like that was, I think, what was so awesome. There definitely went through a phase, I felt like that in brewing, where it was like, if you're not smart enough, we can't talk to you or help you.
Yeah.
And that was frustrating because it's like, I would always fire back at me like, you once had questions and you went to people, and when people, they did not say that shit to you.
Right.
But now that you've honed your craft enough to win awards, and then now it's like you're the gatekeeper of knowledge. That seems a little fucked up.
Yeah.
But that's a handful of people in this giant industry where like people like Todd Mott or other people that we've known where it's like legends are like, oh yeah, I'll teach you that, I'll tell you that, and it's like, oh okay,
That was when I was at Grasslands. The guy who's the original head brewer there, he knew Wayne Wambles, who was the brewmaster of Cigar City for a super long time.
Oh damn, okay, I didn't know his last name.
And
Wayne of Cigar.
Oh yeah, and he just straight up asked him for a recipe one time because we had commissioned the same 15-barrel system that they had, and he just like out of curiosity asked him, it's like, hey, what's the recipe for your red IPA? And he's like, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
It's like, and he was just like,
But it'll still be different.
exactly, and that was what he said, and that was when I learned about that too. It's like I can give you my process, my recipe, and everything, but like it's straight up going to taste different because your facility's different. You're in a different city, and like
the water,
and like all that. Yeah, exactly.
all
And
the
that's
things.
such a
All
cool
gonna
thing.
change.
It's like you could, like Sierra Nevada could give you their exact pale ale recipe, all their steps and instructions, and you could follow it to a T here, and it'd turn out completely different.
Right.
And that's such a cool thing.
Which is awesome, and it would still be. It could still be a really good beer too.
Exactly.
It's not. It doesn't have to. I love learning that because it kind of like took pressure off almost. It's almost like I don't have to make a beer as good as that or perceived to be as good as that.
Yeah.
It's like I can relax a little bit on that end with it. But yeah.
Yeah. So okay, you're in Florida, and you're like you and your soon-to-be-ish your fiance, not your fiance at the time.
No, they were dating.
Yeah.
Your girlfriend at the time. Y'all decided we need a change.
Yeah. Yeah.
How did y'all get to Atlanta?
So she lived in Florida way longer than I have, like most of her life. And she's like, I just want to get out of Florida. I'm like, yeah, I kind of do too. I've been there for almost 13 years at that point.
Gotcha.
And I was like, yeah, I visited Atlanta a couple of times, and I had a friend that lived up here who was working on New Rome. And
Oh, nice.
yeah, and I was just like, yeah, let's just go like check it out. She'd never been before, other than like driving through it, and I'd always liked it. And we went for a weekend. We did like the aquarium and all that fun shit, and went to a couple breweries and stuff. And I was like, it's pretty cool up here. I'll just see if there's a job available up here, and found out. And I just like Google searched brewery jobs in Atlanta, and then found about Eventide, and they had a brewing position open. And I just and I just emailed them, and they're like, yeah, we'll do a phone interview.
I know it's now no longer there, but that's right around the corner from elsewhere?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it was right there.
Eventide.
It was right there in Grand
I
Park.
thought it was called the Rising Tide for some reason.
Well, Rising Tide is in
That's in Maine.
Portland, Maine.
Yeah, my
there
bad.
you go. Yeah,
Okay,
there's lots of tides these days too. So
Lots of nautical themed
So
breweries.
Exactly,
Y'all
yeah.
came for that job.
yeah, because she was still working in that same. Actually, she was a massage therapist at the time. Now I think about
Gotcha.
it, but it's just like I don't know. I felt a little stagnant too, and I was like, I think I just need to get out of here and do something else. And it wasn't because I felt bad about Grasslands or what was going on there. I was just like, but I've been there for almost 3 years, and I was like, I think I just need to move on and do something
Just
else.
change of
Perfect change.
perspective.
Yeah.
Everybody hits those marks, and that's totally okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So y'all got here to Atlanta. You got the job.
Yeah.
And what was it like moving from Florida to Atlanta?
And what was your role? Like, where'd you start at? Sorry, as I smack my computer.
No, you're good. I started technically as a shift brewer there, but then they made me the head brewer within like 3 months.
Ooh.
Just because
That could be a good or bad thing.
It was interesting to say the least. I'm not gonna dwell too much on this brewery because
That's okay.
it was a good learning experience. It's basically what I'll say about that place. But they put me on as a shift brewer initially, and I don't think they like understood how much I had learned at that point because I'd been brewing about 2 years at this point.
Gotcha.
Made a lot of mistakes, but I was like kind of starting to figure it out a little bit. And
Yeah, you were seasoned.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And like they had never had anyone seasoned there before. So, and I got in there and I was like, y'all need to change a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
This isn't good right now. They eventually listened to me on a bunch of those things, but part of that was also just transitioning me into just being essentially the production manager there. So
Yeah.
and it was a really insane operation too. It was a 5-barrel system with only 15-barrel fermenters.
Oh, damn.
And 2 30-barrel bright tanks, and like
Yeah,
it was
that's fucking
so,
crazy.
So you had to do triple turns to fill the tanks.
Yeah, I was supposed to say 3
and,
turns, and then if you want the big ones, it's 6 turns.
Yeah, and it was like the brew house was horrible. It was made by some dude in Washington State that knew how to weld stainless steel together, but didn't know about brew house design.
Nice.
They got it for like $20,000.
I was going to say, probably dirt cheap.
Yeah, so I don't like blame them for doing that because I get it. It's like, opening a brewery is really expensive
hard.
and it's super hard, and it's like you try and do it as cheap as you possibly can if it's like something you really, really want to do. It's not what I would recommend doing, but it's what they did. So
No, I think many people in this industry say if you're going to open a brewery, don't skimp on your fucking equipment.
Yeah.
You already know it's going to be expensive.
Right.
The second that you start knocking dollars off, whether it's your brew house, your tanks, or your production, your packaging shit, it's like you should really rethink if you want to open a brewery business.
Yeah.
Because that's where all your money lies in all that quality control. The
Exactly.
second you start pulling it out of there, it's like, okay, now you're risking the quality of your beer.
And no one, it's maddening to me how many people don't understand that.
Yeah.
And I've done like a tiny bit of consulting work on the side the last couple of years, and
Oh, nice.
it's like everyone I talk to, it's like they're always just like, well, what's like the easiest way to do this? I'm like, there's no easy way to do it, and like you also need to spend way more money than you think you're going to.
What we've heard consistently is if you want to make $1 million, you got to put $2 million in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us about your time there and then your transition between there and then here at Sceptre.
Yeah, for sure. So that job was really good for me because it just like really got me, because like we weren't doing like big production at Grasslands, and even even despite the size. I mean, we were still, we were sending out like 4 pallets of cans of our Kolsch and everything like once a month at least. So it's like we were pumping beer out of there.
Yeah.
I think we did something stupid, like almost like 1,500 barrels one year on a 5-barrel system. Like it was really,
wild.
really, really ridiculous. So I got to like learn how to
Learn a lot.
Yeah.
Sure.
I hadn't
in a different way.
Yeah, exactly. First place with a canning line, so having to learn about all that, become a canning and packaging technician and all that kind of stuff. So that was really difficult. But it was a good experience. And then I got let go from there when the pandemic started.
Yeah.
So that was just kind of how that went. It was
That's par for the course. There's a lot of people. I mean, I was on a Discord chat with people in Oregon where like people at Deschutes for 16 years got let go from the packaging department.
Yeah. It's like it really sucked, but and like it was 5 years ago now, which is fucking crazy to say,
wild.
It feels like 30.
It really does. So I don't know. I've definitely I was not happy at the time, obviously, but I've definitely kind of moved on from there.
Yeah. Where'd you go next?
We actually moved back to Florida for a little bit because it was impossible to find a job. Mm-hmm. I interviewed at 3 different places, and I got you're overqualified. I got we're actually not hiring, and I got ghosted after an interview on one of them after getting good feedback on it and everything.
Yeah.
So that shit happens, but
that's
COVID.
frustrating.
Yeah, so we moved back to Florida for a little bit because like family's there, and it just made it a little bit easier. I got a job brewing outside of Tampa at this place called Keel Farms.
Okay.
They're in Plant City, which is like right in between Tampa and Lakeland on I-4. It was a job, I got to kind of do my own thing there, but they were really obsessed with putting fruit in everything there.
Oh, yeah.
Because they also did cider and wine there as well.
Oh, okay.
As like a separate business that it was really, really good for them. The brewing was just kind of like a passion project thing for them, and I was there for about 10 months, and they never really wanted to like help improve the brewing side of it, and it was kind of difficult because it was a really dilapidated system and cellar and stuff like that. So that was kind of rough. But then I left because I got offered the head brewing job at Atlanta Brewing Company, previously Red Brick.
Oh, yes.
And I was like, okay, we can go back to Atlanta because I did not like being back in Florida. Like Tampa was pretty cool, honestly. I like Tampa and St. Pete a lot. If I had to absolutely go back, I'd probably live there again.
Yeah.
But I was also like, I just don't want to be back here.
Yeah. So y'all came back to Atlanta.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and it seemed like it was a good deal too because they they paid to relocate me. It was an iconic brewery. I used to drink Hoplanta and dive bars in Tallahassee. So it was
they've been around 20 years or something at that point. Was it longer?
It was almost 30, I think.
Okay, gotcha.
They were getting close to 30, I think. So it was cool. I got back up here and started the job, and things seemed like they were okay. And after 3 months, just everything unraveled. It's that place had just been financially bleeding for so long, and the owner, who was this dude that he's a multimillionaire. This guy has a lot of money, but his family made him stop putting money into the brewery. It was just on its last legs, and I had no idea. I thought because I was getting relocated and everything,
it's doing well.
Yeah, that would be fine. But then I didn't get paid one day, so I was like, peace out.
I think I remember you coming to the brewery.
Yeah,
and you're like, this happened.
Yep.
I don't know what's happening.
It was when y'all were working at and I was a semi-regular there because I lived right around the corner.
Yeah, because we had met you a couple of times. I think it was just girlfriend at the time.
Yeah, from the Casmers and Josh as well.
And we had met you a couple of times and enjoyed y'all's conversation and everything. And so I remember you coming in one day. I think you had just finished a shift and I was finishing a shift.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
And, so listeners will know, but we knew Spencer from getting into elsewhere, but because you came to the bar, and I'm pretty sure you and Daryl were working at the bar as well as Sarah was, and you had said hey, I didn't get paid, and you weren't even asking for work, but Sarah was like, dude, we got shifts open.
Yeah.
If you want, I think you got picked up within a week.
It was immediately.
Because I think we had plenty of shifts.
Which unfortunately that does happen in the industry a lot too. I mean, passionate, and you take a huge pay cut to fucking do what you do.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's horrible. But that leads into our next question, because that's where we all met. I think we'd seen you as a regular there a couple of times.
Yeah, we'd met you. We knew you.
I do remember, because I would usually be grabbing a carouse or something behind the bar after my shift, and you'd be like, oh, you work in the brewery? And I'd be like, well, I'm essentially the cake washer and help Josh. But and so we would talk about beer.
Yeah.
And then Josh let me know who you were, and the Casmers did as well. And then that's kind of how all this turned into, is once Red Brick went down, you hopped on to Elsewhere, and then eventually you started brewing at Elsewhere. So talk about that transition for you.
It was definitely scary. One of the reasons we left Atlanta was because I had this really stubborn refusal to just work front of house again. I didn't want to do it, and I was like, there's no way how I'm going to do it, and which is in hindsight very stupid. Probably never would have had to move back if I didn't feel that way, but whatever.
Hey, you can have your laurels and values. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, I know. It's just but it's I don't know. It's I actually liked doing it again was the thing, and I didn't think that would happen. So
that was a cool place to do it too.
It was.
It was a cool place.
Yeah, it was. I was
Especially
already.
when you have great lagers on tap.
Oh yeah, dude, for sure. That was easy for me to do that because I was so in love with the beer there anyway.
Yeah.
It made it a really easy jumping point for me. I also I was just a server there for a little bit in the beginning, and then I was also part-time working on the packaging line at Monday Night Brewing too, which was honestly a really cool experience, and I'm still pretty good friends with a lot of people from that brewery.
And Monday Night's big.
It was huge. It was my first time working on a canning line that does 250 cans per minute, and just big production
just
stuff.
Actually,
Yeah, but it was cool. I have a lot of respect for that brewery because you can tell they're very dialed in on their quality, and they really, really care about it a whole lot. So it was just cool to be kind of part of that for a little while. And like I said, I still there's still people that work there that come in here every once in a while and sit down and have a beer with them and stuff. And it's really cool. I was able to build more community through all of it.
It's also cool to keep those connections.
Truthfully.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it's been a really good thing just professionally too, as well as personally and emotionally and everything.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
So, but yeah, so it was I think I was only at Monday night for like 3 months maybe. And it's like,
Gotcha.
and they knew what was going on with me too, and like they were honestly just kind of throwing me a bone, which was really cool. It was just like staying on my feet for a while until I was like figure out what I do, and then I was doing maybe like 1 or 2 shifts at elsewhere a week, but then y'all were leaving.
Yeah. Josh needed help.
Got too hot, dude.
Got too hot for us.
This hairy caveman
It
could
was
not
too
do
hot
it.
for
Oh,
us.
dude, it's still a nightmare here.
Yeah.
It was too hot for us.
We're really happy to be out of winter now, and like we're in this really great lull, but it's
Oh, it is.
It's
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
be so bad this year. So
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, y'all leaving was let me just get into the brewery more too, and yeah, I got to learn under Josh. He's been such like a huge part of my professional development too because of all that. So I was there for about a year. Made a
We
couple
have a
beers
podcast with him tomorrow, so we're excited
sweet.
about that.
Well, tell him I said hi.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Also, tell us the 3 things that you hate most about
No, don't. We love
those
Josh.
skinny ass calves.
Behind the scenes, I always call him Joshy. So don't tell
Joshy.
him that.
My
I call him
wife,
Joshy.
my wife did not think he actually existed for a long time because she straight up
I love
never.
that.
She didn't meet him until I started working here.
Oh no, Joe, really?
No joke.
That's crazy.
Because the guy.
He's
guy's
in and out.
Yeah,
He's
in and out.
efficient.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I would like talk about. I'd be like, I get home from work, and she'd be like, "How's work?" It was, "Oh, Josh and I did blah blah blah." He's like, "Oh, you mean your imaginary friend?" I'm like, "No, he's real."
He's actually real.
And it was very funny. It's like she was here one day, and I was just doing something, and he came by to have a few beers and stuff, and I was just like,
This is Josh.
I was like, "Hey, Rox, this is my imaginary friend Josh."
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's a great story.
it was great.
He does. He is very regimented. Like
Yeah.
it was nice for him to have help because he's like, cool. I said I was gonna be out here this time. You handle it. I'm fucking gone.
Yeah, and that's what was cool. It's like he like right off the bat, like working in the back with him, he had an immense amount of respect for me and my knowledge and everything.
Yeah.
Which was really weird because I'd never been treated that way before. Which is probably the main frustration in my whole career is just people. It's like I'm kind of like an expert at what I do now,
Yeah.
It's like you can maybe listen to me. So I had that problem at like Eventide, the place in Tampa, and at Atlanta Brewing Company. It's just like just you can just listen to me like a little bit, and and it'll be okay.
Give me a
I
little
promise.
bit of respect.
Yeah, but he was like right off the bat. He just like because he just knew what I would. Just for a couple conversations with him, like he knew what I was talking about, and he respected me from the get go because of that.
Yeah.
So, but working under him was great because he actually helped me. Like, it wasn't even intentional, but just like working under him and seeing how he operated helped me fix some of my really bad habits. Like you all are sitting in my brewery right now, and like obviously I brewed today, and it's a little messy right now, but like
It still looks really clean.
I used to be way messier than this.
Yeah.
And it was really funny. I got a pretty good ass kicking from him one time because he was out of town for like 2 weeks and just kind of let me do stuff in the brewery, which was really cool. Like I brewed a couple beers and did some cellar stuff and saw like my bartending shifts and stuff like that. But I kind of left a mess in certain areas, and he got back and apparently was very angry at me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Which is wild to think about Josh being angry.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a scary thing. Like,
Right,
I'm like,
and
I don't ever want to see Josh
And
angry.
he like talked to me, and he wasn't like, he was very, super professional, very like level headed. Like I'm an emotional person too, so I was like, in fact, he was able to just like talk to me very calmly about it's like, hey, don't fucking do this again, And I was like, I got it. And I was like, I wasn't like scared, but I was just like, man, I did not mean to make you upset, and I obviously made you upset, and that made me feel bad, but I will make sure that never happens again.
yeah, that's a special skill.
You're like, boots up, pants up,
Yeah.
let's go.
No, that is great because it's not like breaking you down. It's just saying like it's almost reminding you like, hey, just as much as you love this, you work with other people. And I will say it's not an issue. I think I would say it usually commonly happens with people that work solo, like pub brewers.
Yeah.
And this is just from my experience, but I come from a lot of experience that is, I always worked in large production breweries.
Yeah.
So like being clean was like, you had to do that. And so then going to smaller breweries, I'm not making this about me, but like going to smaller breweries and you start to see people that worked in pub breweries for a long time. And it was always like their mess, their problem. And it was like their way or the highway. And it was really hard to almost kind of get them to realize being like, hey, you now work in an environment that's not just yourself. There's like 5 other employees. You're not a bad person because of it, but just letting you know it's like utilize us and or recognize that it's like this is just makes our job harder to navigate or move around when it's like
Right.
doing that. And again, you don't mean it out of malice.
Yeah,
And so
exactly.
like that's like great that again we said it before the podcast, but like he has such a nice dad figure way of talking about it where it's like,
Right.
hey, listen, son, I know this is kind of like probably what you thought, but don't do this again.
Yeah.
But we're still cool.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
yeah.
No, it's like I never felt like there was like never any lingering animosity or anything like
I
that.
feel like he's like the best person to learn from. Like
Yeah.
honestly, like I never learned too much from him, but
Yeah.
like I think if I was a person who wanted to be in craft beer, I would want to learn under Josh. Josh doesn't talk a whole lot, and so it's like when he does, you want to listen.
Yeah.
And then when like, he never gets upset, he's so even keel about everything. So it's like when you know he has an emotion, you're like, I'm tuning into that emotion because it seems important.
Yeah.
And like I never worked for Josh. I was around Josh. Love Josh. We'll podcast with him tomorrow. Thank you, Josh.
Yeah.
And like I can't imagine for both of you, like y'all have both worked under him and like worked for him and with him. And I think both of y'all have had a very similar experience of like y'all
We're not feeling like we're good enough. Like people don't recognize that we're good enough in this
you
industry.
you like come in and you're like, I don't feel like I'm good enough, and he's like, you are. Let me teach you some cool things to
Yeah.
grow you. And like he wanted to like lift you up, but then he also wanted to just be like let y'all learn as well on your own.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm just like looking at both of you and I'm
No,
like, I can't
it's
handle
it's
this
similar.
right now.
Like we've had connections about
Yeah.
this. I'll never forget. There was a day I was brewing carouse by myself, and Josh was like in the tap room, and I thought I remembered that it was 50 pounds of sugar.
I know. I remember
And it was
this.
5 pounds,
Yeah,
so I put a full bag of sugar in there. And Josh, I brought him the brew sheet. He's like, "Yo," he's like, "What's this 50-pound bag of sugar?" I was like, "That's what we do for carouse, right?" I was like, "I thought I remembered it correctly." He's like, "Nah," and I was like, "Oh fuck!" And I got so worried. He's like, "Dude, don't worry about it." He's like, "It's gonna ferment out. It's gonna do what it does." He's like, "The beer's not ruined."
It's gonna be a little higher ABV.
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah. It's
well,
a little carouse plus. But yeah, he was. I was like so because like fucking up. I was like, oh my god. I was like, I ruined this and I lost money. He's like, dude, don't worry about it. He's like, we'll fucking figure it out.
Yeah.
He's like, calm down.
Yeah.
And like having that is so beneficial.
If I ever learn how to brew, I want to brew under Josh. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Well, he'll probably be done. He's
No.
like, he'll be sitting out there. He's like, you fucking deal with it. Yeah.
I'm like, Josh, please be my mentor, please.
Yeah. What were some of your highlights at Elsewhere? Because it was super fun getting to know you, and you were
Yeah.
big into not only mixed culture, but the way that you talked about lagers and your ideas for IPAs. I always found like this is great and refreshing. So, like, do you have memorable moments in Elsewhere that you were super stoked on?
Yeah, I made this New Zealand IPA there, which was supposed to be like a completely different beer, and it was supposed to be. I had this whole idea for doing like a mixed culture, like IPA that used like a sake yeast and stuff like that.
Ooh.
Oh,
And-
rad.
Yeah.
What is that called? Koji or something?
No,
Sorry.
No. It was just like you can just like get like a sake yeast,
Sake
like
yeast.
Gotcha.
yeah, like from Hawaii. So and I read some stuff about some breweries doing like a co-ferment with like a normal like Chico strain and that so like it was funny as we ordered everything and like I had this whole idea to use like yuzu zest and stuff on it too.
Oh, fuck yeah.
But sourcing yuzu is really hard actually, so that didn't end up happening. But I was like, well, we're using New Zealand hops and it'll be like this cool thing. Then I'll co-ferment it with the sake yeast and use like rice syrup solids in it and stuff too.
Oh, nice.
And but so like part of not being there like full time, I think like Josh was actually like out of town at the time too. So it's like I brewed the beer and I came back like 3 days later and it like already completely fermented.
Oh, damn. Yeah,
So
it
I
went
was
quick.
like, I don't think I can. I think if I put sake yeast in this, I might actually like ruin the beer. But I tasted it and I was like, it's actually pretty fucking good. So
nice.
So we'll just keep it like this. So we let it just like sit for a little bit and then dry hopped it later. And it turned out amazing. It's like one of my favorite IPAs that I've made to this day. And
Oh, what'd you call it?
I cannot remember.
Okay, gotcha. No, that's great though.
I just remember New Zealand IPA, but part of what happened with that when we put it on tap, we were actually doing a collab with Monday Night,
Oh, okay.
And Peter Kiley, who's their brewmaster, like came through for it and everything. And he was like, he's always been kind of like an industry hero of mine. Just like when I was at Atlanta Brewing Company, he was like someone I talked to a lot when I was like going through it. He's the reason I worked at Monday Night for a little bit.
Fuck yeah!
He's always been kind of in my corner.
Shout out Peter.
Yeah, exactly. And so he was there. I was there for that brew day, and the beer was on tap, and he tried it, and he like sat down next to me, and he was like, "Dude, this is really, really good."
Yeah.
I was like, "Cool."
You're like,
He like gave you your
check.
flowers.
Yeah,
Oh, man.
yeah. It was super cool. So that's
a
probably
cool
that's probably like
experience.
my favorite moment that I had elsewhere, at least as far as
yeah.
like brewing and stuff. But other than that, I did love bartending there mostly because of the friends I made. That I like my like cohort of people that I was bartending with. Like I'm still pretty good friends with all of them.
Yeah.
I think so.
Dude, it was such a good menagerie of people. Like honestly,
Yeah.
We loved it.
from like
Yeah.
chef, which
Yeah.
dude,
Oh,
shout out Tyler.
Yeah,
I've
shout
never
out Chef
seen
Tyler.
I've never seen somebody run a kitchen and have like 12 kolsches
Oh, dude.
in a night before close.
Yeah, he was.
And then still be like prepping at the end of the night, be like frustrated and prepping for the next day.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I still keep in touch with him
Yeah.
too. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a good dude. We try and grab a beer every once in a while.
Yeah.
You
It
should
was-
see if is he still in Atlanta?
yeah.
Yeah,
He works in sales now.
yeah, seafood sales.
Okay, we might have to.
And
try
Marina
it.
does. They're
She does
married.
the-
She does
yeah.
like cruise menus.
No,
I'm pretty
I thought
sure.
it was airplane.
Delta.
Oh, Delta.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the airplane.
Like she like helps design like the first class food items.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah, it's super cool. Yeah, they're doing really well. I run into them occasionally.
We need to try and run into them.
Yeah,
Those are
funny.
the
no, you
more
should.
days.
They're great people. But it's like, it's like you met so many great people. That was the best part about Elsewhere. It was just
Yeah.
like everyone I met there was
People were great.
so awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
And also shout out to the Atlanta community.
Yeah.
Like the people in this industry are fucking amazing.
yeah, no, for sure. And like that was just like that was really like my first like kind of like brew pub that I've worked at too. You know, and it technically wasn't, but it really was.
Yeah.
And there's just something that's different about brew pubs in Atlanta, I think, compared
They
to like
are
a production
different.
brewery.
Yeah.
You know, it's like because you have the feel of hospitality is just a little bit different, right?
Yeah.
And that was it's just like it's just building community through the places that you work at. You know,
Fuck yeah.
super cool.
So, how did you get from Elsewhere to Sceptre?
So, I can tie this all in. This all works
Yeah.
actually. So I was kind of like thinking about leaving the industry for a while because the problem I ended up having at Elsewhere was I just wasn't doing as much production stuff as I wanted to. I ended up bartending a little more than I wanted to and doing all that, which I loved. But I also like I was like I would like to just make beer.
Yeah.
And so I was just kind of looking at leaving for a little bit there, but the Sceptre job just kind of fell in my lap. Sarah Darrow, who we were talking about before.
Great human, by the way.
Yeah, we love her. She texted me one day and told me that the guy who's the head brewer at Sceptre was leaving, and I was like, I knew him. I know him too. I actually did a collab beer with Sceptre when I was at Eventide. Fun fact: we made a coffee stout together in like
Ooh.
2019.
Oh, nice.
I love a coffee stout.
So she texted me that because she knew I'd been kind of like looking for some other stuff too. So I had Trevor's phone number, the previous head brewer here, and I texted him and I was like, "Hey, dude, I heard you're leaving." And he's like, "Yeah, do you want my job?" I was like,
Yes,
"Yeah."
please.
Damn, what an interview process.
Yeah, I was like, "Yeah, kind of, actually." And he's like, "Okay, I'll get you in touch with the owner." And I'm like, "All right." And it all happened like very quickly. And it was funny. My wife and I were just about to get married too, like right
Y'all
when
were.
all
It
this
was
happened.
like really fast.
Yeah.
Because you got engaged.
We got engaged when we moved back to Atlanta is when we got engaged. Like literally, like the day we moved back, I
feel
proposed
like
to
I
her.
was around. Like I don't know. We heard y'all's story.
So what we did was we live in Summerhill, which is right around the corner from where Elsewhere was, and we got engaged. We went to Halfway Crooks that night, and then I think the day after we went to Elsewhere.
Yeah. That's probably where we heard it.
Yeah, that was likely what it was.
Yeah.
But it was literally like I had moved back up and had been here for like 2 weeks to like get moved into our apartment and start my job and everything, and she was like tying things up at her apartment in Tampa and like taking care of our cats and all that. And then she and like literally like I gave her 1 day to just like be back in the city and like not have to be in a car.
Let's get
And then
married.
the next day I proposed to her.
You're like,
Fuck yeah.
let's do this forever.
Yeah, exactly. So so we got engaged and then went to halfway and then I think we went to Elsewhere like right after that. But so all this to say that we ended up having our wedding at Elsewhere too.
Yeah.
Which was super cool, but it was technically after I had left. So I accepted, it was March 2023 when I took the job here, and then we got married in May.
Okay.
So, but we'd already like booked out the place as our venue and everything.
It's a perfect place to do it.
It really
as
was.
beer lovers, as
Yeah.
like wanting to have something intimate, like with friends and
I
family.
got to make a beer for the
Make a
wedding
beer.
that was on tap.
We had
Oh,
a-
that's awesome.
Yeah.
We had a beer on our. We were already married when we got here, but we had eloped and we had a wedding party. And Austin got to make a beer with Josh.
Oh yeah, was that the Vietnamese lager?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that beer.
We
dude.
were like, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna make it. It's
I
not
was
gonna be
terrified
happening.
too. It's my first brew day solo.
Okay.
Josh wasn't there, and I remember like I'd followed the recipe, done all the research, and especially I love the way Josh bent toward where he's like, I'm not doing like 3/4 pounds of a bag of grain or a 1/4 pound bag of grain. It's either half or full. Just fucking
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
And then I told him I was like, I want lemongrass in it because that was something like I enjoyed easy drinking lagers, and I also enjoyed like lemon zest. I mean, Freeing, we do a lemon zest IPA.
Yeah.
Spent a lot of time
It
with
was
that.
so
it's very
hot in Nashville when we
very
had the
labor
thing,
intensive.
so it was like so nice and refreshing.
Well, I remember specifically because I have a very specific memory about that beer, and you tell me about it. Because I remember being there when you were about to brew it and everything, and I guess y'all had just brewed the dark check lager like the day before,
Oh, yeah,
and
the
there was still some dark malt in the grist case when you opened it, and so instead of it being pale, it was like an amber lager.
Yeah,
Honestly.
it was still stayed.
But it worked out really well.
it was
though.
great.
Like, it was still a
Honestly,
super good
it
beer.
was so hot in
That
Nashville.
was-
We
so-
were like, thank goodness for like a cold, crisp beer.
We had asked you like those moments of like where you were like, this is a milestone for like my beer career. That was for me is like I brewed my own beer and I didn't fuck it up and it tasted great and I was like, okay, all my
We
10
crushed
plus years
it.
of work, it wasn't for nothing.
Yeah.
We crushed
yeah.
that beer that night.
Yeah.
Like
And
we
it is. Like,
we
people-
had it through the party and then like after party we crushed that
Yeah.
beer. It
And
was
people
gone.
can say what they want to say. Lemongrass in a lager, yeah, that's like an easy adjunct to put in, but it also tastes fucking great if you do it
So
right.
good.
And
Oh, yeah.
people will
It
drink
was-
the fuck
it
out
was
of it.
easy.
It's a super
We needed
it's a
easy.
super tough adjunct.
Yeah.
We used to have to make a Hefeweizen that had it with
Oh, nice.
had lemongrass when I was at Eventide, and that was a really tough thing to actually nail down.
Yeah, because it gets really perfumey.
Yeah,
like it
yeah,
does.
exactly. It can be, a lot of adjuncts like that, especially. It's like you have to be super careful
Yeah.
with them, or else they.
So did you get to brew a beer for the wedding that you had?
I did. I made a West Coast Pils, and
fuck
my
yeah.
wife's gonna be mad at me because I can't remember what we named it.
No, it's
So
you brewed a lot of beers and named them.
yeah, I
since
think
then,
that's part of it, but I should probably remember that. I could find out. It's at the
Well, that's
beginning of our-
awesome.
Yeah,
That's
so we-
special to have a wedding beer
It
too.
was cool, and like just having like all our friends and family like at the brewery that I worked at and everything.
Yeah.
Like they're
And that space
celebrate
is like
us.
really nice. It looks like a little
a
like
beautiful-
monastery pub. All
Yeah,
the clay and the archways
Yeah,
inside.
we did a couple like little extra things too, but like we had our altar like right in like the middle of the tap room and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh fuck
And
yeah!
we did like the whole ceremony and everything.
Love that.
So
Oh dude, that's so cool.
I'll show y'all pictures before.
Yeah.
Before
Please
you head
do.
Out,
That's so
I
special.
haven't realized I don't think I shared those with y'all. So.
Yeah.
A marriage made in fermentation. Like that's so
Yeah.
Truly,
special.
yeah, truly.
I love that so much.
But yeah, so that was it was really funny. It's like one of the things I loved about Elsewhere was like everyone there was so supportive of me transitioning over here too.
Yeah.
You know, so that's always been really cool. But yeah, they needed a new brewery here. It had been the same guy since they opened here in 2019. And he was just kind of ready to move on. He lives in Connecticut now and is running a brewery up there.
Gotcha. So Sceptre opened in 2019.
Yeah.
Okay, so like now it is still like it is now like an adolescent brewery, almost middle aged. But when it came about, it's like very very new.
Yeah. It's still like newer as far as the Atlanta beer scene is concerned. You know,
Gotcha.
there haven't been a lot of openings in the last 5 years. Actually,
Yeah.
so
Actually, there
um,
haven't.
like this was this place and like halfway were right around the same time, and bigger staff was there, but they're already gone. Like I can't. I'm sure there's a couple. Oh, Inner Voice is another one afterwards. So,
Oh yeah. Are they still around?
oh yeah, yeah.
Go see
Okay,
Inner
gotcha.
Voice.
Oh yeah,
We
y'all
love
gotta
that
go.
place.
Like seriously, like one of the best breweries in the city.
We took our
enjoy
cat
Inner
the
Voice,
first time. We took her
Echo when
out.
she was just a string bean. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then also, is it Cherry Street Brewing? Is that may not be in Atlanta, but I feel like there's another elsewhere employee that went there.
Yeah, Jared worked there. For
Jared,
a long time.
okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
And he actually works at Brick Store now.
Oh, okay, what's
Yeah,
a brick
he's
store?
a brick store, but he's in the process of opening his own bar too.
Oh, roger
Yeah,
that.
yeah, he
Okay,
did.
gotcha.
He kind of like he's a super good brewer too, and I know he had a really good time at Cherry Street, and they learned a lot there. But
Nice.
he's just kind of like, I kind of just want to be on the front of house management side of things now. So,
Gotcha. Like
yeah.
creating a communal hub and an atmosphere.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's going to be a very cool. He kind of gave me like the elevator pitch of his concept, like pretty much like going for what Brick Store does, but a more modern take on it.
Oh, gotcha.
But still like being like very hyper specific on the beer and taking care of it and highlighting it and everything.
Fuck yeah.
So,
What were some of the big changes when you came on to Sceptre? Because that's a big role to come into.
Yeah.
But like, what did you identify that like needed to change to make this? Because Sceptre, I would say, never had bad beer, but the quality it's so much better.
yeah,
So,
it's so one of the best things about working here is that I've had true creative control to just do what I want. And the owners told me that when I came in. They're like, you don't have to like, because they didn't have like core styles and stuff like that. It's the concept of this place has always sort of been like a do what you want kind of deal. It's like just pour your creativity into what you're trying to do, right?
Yeah.
And like me and the previous brewer, we have different brewing philosophies on everything too. So it was really just kind of retooling the system into making it what I wanted it to. I didn't design this brewery or anything, so it was like adapting to how the brew house works and how the cellar operates and everything. And it's like everything's in its place. We're not moving things around to like make me feel better.
Yeah.
So the biggest problem just from the get-go was just kind of learning the system and everything. And I had like 2 weeks of crossover and stuff, but like I said, we're different philosophically, so like that philosophically doesn't just like philosophical differences in beer doesn't just like boil down to how you design recipes and stuff. It is how you actually physically operate in your space and everything.
yeah, it's like how a chef would design a kitchen for what he wants to cook.
Correct. Yeah, that's a great analogy. So it was really just kind of like doing that and figuring out how to make this space my own, because it's been someone else's for about 5 years at that point. So yeah, it's just figuring out the flow than anything, and figuring out what I wanted to do too.
How did you do that? How did you understand? Like, you've been with other breweries that had their own philosophy. Like, coming into Sceptre, I have questions about Sceptre. We can come to that.
Yeah.
But like coming into it, like, what did you want to do?
I definitely had thought. I'd have always had like in the back of my head about like how I would make / operate my own brewery and like what I would do with it.
Yeah.
And I saw an opportunity here to just do that on the beer side of things. I already kind of gelled like with like the branding and like the vibe here. So
Right.
like that was kind of easy for me to just go into. But like it was just figuring out like I'd always had these ideas. If I have my own brewery, I would make this beer and this beer. So that's how I started. I was like, if I have my own brewery, I'd have a core Pilsner and a hazy IPA, just to like start that way. And so I kind of like started from there, and then just I can kind of just do whatever in here too, which has been the best thing about it. So it's like, I'm gonna brew some styles I've never brewed before, and like see how that goes, and help me like learn the system that way. So kind of just started doing that, and then after about 6 months, it finally coalesced into a thing where I was like, okay, it's like I'm gonna make this. I like this IPA that I did in this recipe with it, so I'm gonna keep making this one. I like this Pilsner and the way that it came out, so I'm gonna keep on with that one and everything. So,
Which was, I'm assuming, the Pilsner we had.
yes,
It was amazing.
that is like that is like my core Pilsner.
Love
So
it.
I think this is like.
It's super great.
Thank you. Yeah.
So quaffable.
I think it's
that's
like the
biggest
13th
thing.
or 14th time I've made it now.
Love it.
So I'm like,
No,
it's
it
cool
is-
to like be in that lane with it now. It's like,
You're like, got it, check.
It's a very automatic beer to make.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At this
No,
point.
the malt profile of it is like super nice,
So
subtle.
nice.
It's like white toasted bread with a little bit of biscuit and cracker. I love the aroma on it. It reminds me of literally like we were talking about lemongrass, but it's like lemon zest, some slight grassiness,
Some,
which
like,
is what you get from like
lightness.
noble hops and what should be in a
Yeah.
German
Yeah.
Pilsner-esque. And then the minerality too, like that's a big thing with carbonation, but like water content. When you have a little bit of that minerality, it carries all those aromas and flavors right up your nose,
Right.
and that's what you need. And when it's not harsh, when it's not spritzy on the back of your throat, they said at Brick Store like prickly pear. Yeah, like when seltzers have that prickly pear like carbonation and it seems to burn your esophagus. No, and I know it came off the tank, but like it's beautiful.
Oh,
Yeah.
so
It's
good.
fucking
Yeah,
beautiful.
it's just a tad yeasty right now, so it's.
Oh, yeah.
But like I like that about it too.
Oh,
I think
it's expressive.
I like this beer a lot because I can kind of release it whenever I feel like with it.
Yeah.
It isn't this super regimented. Oh, it needs to lager for 4 weeks before I even transfer it and blah blah blah.
Yeah,
It's like,
it gives a lot of white pear from the yeast, and that's
Yeah.
what's super nice.
Yeah,
It's like,
and it'll-
if you were to smell a pear, it's like, yeah.
and it'll all calm down too,
Yeah.
especially like
Oh,
once
yeah.
it gets in the keg and
I mean,
everything.
it was like
so-
off the tank. so
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
great.
Yeah, and I just transferred it yesterday.
Yeah,
It's not
I
even
love it.
fully carved yet.
Yeah,
so-
it was
Oh, yeah,
so
well, it's
it was still
gorgeous.
so good.
It's still gorgeous.
Can I ask you a little bit about Sceptre itself?
yeah.
Do you know some of the origins and why they landed here? Why they landed on the name?
So I can definitely tell you why it's here. So this place was actually a different brew pub before Sceptre ever. So this building we're in used to be a dive bar called Mulligan's for the longest time, and it was like a biker bar.
Oh.
Okay.
That was around for like 20 years, and it was like one of the first places in Atlanta that you could like drink past 1 a.m. or something like that.
Oh,
So
damn.
It was some weird stuff like that. I'm a little fuzzy on that whole history, but
Well,
then-
Atlanta had a lot of prohibition laws. A lot
Yes.
of southern states did
Yeah,
until like,
and like
recently.
Decatur was able to specifically kind of like subvert a lot of that. And
Yeah.
like one of the reasons Decatur is as popular as it is today is because they were skirting those.
Laws.
Yeah, they were skirting like those weird laws and like times that you could be open and stuff. So Decatur nightlife actually became a bigger thing, especially for some reason with dive bar culture. It really did, rather than like nightclubs and stuff like that. And that's kind of that mirrors like how Decatur has developed over the last 20 years. But so this was that, and then I don't know when that place went out of business, but these people came in and spent like $2.5 million to like build out a brand new brew pub here.
Oh, fuck.
Which was called the Oak, which is hilarious because our brew system still has the etchings on the manways for the Oak brew pub.
Oh yeah.
So they did the full build out of this brewery specifically, but it was supposed to be brew pub restaurant kind of deal. But they opened and it was only open for like 3 months or something, and then it went under.
Oh, fuck.
I never got like the full story on what that happened. I've heard
Somebody was stealing money.
probably.
There's
yeah,
no way.
It's
You
like,
put $2.2 million.
Someone said that like the primary money guy was like a San Francisco Facebook tech bro kind of thing. So I don't know what that was about either. So I've heard a bunch of different things about it, but yeah, it barely lasted. But they built out the whole brewery.
Yeah.
and
It
then
was nice.
oh yeah, no, they did it. I have some qualms, but
Yeah.
like it's.
There's some things that would change.
It's a very, it's probably only what like 50 by 30 feet maybe. It's not a huge space, and I think they did a good job. We have 8 fermenters and 2 bright tanks, and then dedicated cold liquor, hot liquor, and mash water tun and boil kettle on what's essentially a 10 hectoliter system.
Yeah.
We say 7 barrel. But
Yeah.
it's kind of oversized. Our brew house is oversized for what our cellar can actually do.
Gotcha. Yeah,
Because I think their initial intention was they're like, we're going to do a bunch of big beers here all the time.
I see.
Which makes
Yeah,
sense. So, so they went out of business. So the guys who own Sceptre, they also own Argosy in East Atlanta Village.
Oh,
so
okay.
this is their like second project, basically.
Gotcha.
So and for people who don't know, Argosy is kind of like a mainstay, really amazing beer bar in East Atlanta Village, which is like the kind of eclectic, divey neighborhood in the city. But like, it's a really good restaurant too. It's like dimly lit, lots of cool art and like knickknacks and everything kind of everywhere. But they've always had a hyper focus on like the beer being really good there. And they've been open for 14 years, I think now.
Oh,
Wow.
damn.
So it's like a huge mainstay at this
Yeah.
point. So they found this place. The Oak went under, and the people that owned the building like got all the assets, and they sold it turnkey.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah, it's actually the way I would recommend someone wanting to start a brewery these days.
Yeah,
because-
buy something turnkey.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so they paid a fraction of the price to get it, to just acquire the assets and everything, and then spent a lot of their own money to kind of renovate the place and make it how they wanted to. So, which is where it is in its current spot.
Yeah.
So that was in, I think they acquired it in 2017. Did the build out. They did the build out in the tap room more than anything.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure that is drastically different than what it was before. But the brewery stayed the same.
Yeah.
So they were able to just come in here and just kind of dust things off a little bit and then get going.
Do you know how they ended up with the name?
I don't actually.
You don't?
No.
Okay. This is your homework.
I know. Yeah. It's. I think it boils down to they had just like a huge. It's actually how I name beers. Is I just like write shit down that I think sounds cool.
Yeah.
And I think they
We
just had
do the same thing.
I think they just had a big list of things they thought sounded cool,
Yeah.
and then they just decided on Sceptre.
Sceptre.
And it's funny because it's spelt really weird too, because we get Spectre Brewing or.
Well, they do it the English way, where it's like
Yeah.
SCEPTRE.
Yeah, correct.
As opposed to the ER ending.
Which has been a little bit annoying with giving people. I was trying to get like a quote on some maintenance done on our Steam system here, and I kept emailing the guy. I'm like, hey, what's going on? Or calling him. Sorry, I was like, you haven't given me a quote, and you came here like 3 weeks ago. And he's like, oh, I accidentally misspelled your email.
Your email.
So it's just going into the void.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, oh, okay, well,
That's wild.
it's like I get it, but at the same time, but whatever.
Do you know the kind of vibe that they were going for here? Because they had another space, and it's like, they needed the brew space, and like there's the kitchen space in the back. Like, how did y'all?
They did start with like a full kitchen staff here initially. It's supposed to be just kind of like traditional brew pub kind of deal, like. But like vibes like Argosy too, like really influenced by that. Like dimly lit, like you get good food, you have good beer, you just kind of it's like good like date night spot kind of deal. It's evolved into something different from that though. So when the pandemic hit here, they like many people had to pivot a whole lot.
Right.
So they actually got rid of just having a full-time kitchen staff here. And what we do now is we have a weekly rotation of pop-ups.
Oh, smart.
Yeah, because Atlanta actually has a pretty robust food pop-up scene here.
They do.
Yeah, so we've been able to kind of tap into that, and it's become like a communal space for that, which has been super cool. We get so many different things coming through here all the time, and it's really awesome. So that's like a thing that just kind of evolved into our own unique thing. And then the beer changed around a whole lot too. So the guy before me, he's a super creative guy. Like I'm a very traditional brewer. It's like he was doing like sour IPA with Satsuma oranges and stuff like that. And I'm gonna make a Munich Dunkelwalker.
Yeah.
So he's
that's
like the most adjuncty I've gotten here is like a fruited sour. So I don't. It's not how I operate.
Fuck yes.
But that was like his big thing. But the one thing that I did carry on from him here is that we're technically like the first craft malt certified brewery in if not the Southeast in the country.
That's awesome.
So
what does that actually mean?
So like exclusive use of craft malt.
Okay, just craft malt.
Yeah.
Okay, so where do you get your craft malt from?
So I now source all my stuff from Carolina Malt House, which I picked up from elsewhere. Because Josh was sourcing from them, and I was like, wow, I really like the beer, and like I knew that was a distinct characteristic of why it was very good, was where the malt was coming from. So when I came in here, they were getting malt from mostly Riverbend and Epiphany, who are also based there. But I'd already like developed this relationship with Carolina Malt, and I knew what I was getting out of it. So I was like, I'm just gonna switch to that, do that. I've done Riverbend a few times. I like their stuff a lot, and they offer a lot of variety. But for me, it's kind of come down to Carolina is just so consistent in what they do, and like it just helps me way more with my recipe development on that end. So I've just stuck with them since then.
It also fits, I think, with your vision and what you want, and that can be like a hard thing because there are plenty of craft malt stores out there where they're like, well, we do something similar, like why don't you want to do us? And it's like, well, just like a chef, it's like, it's not that I disagree with your ingredients. I just prefer this
Yeah,
over that.
I've made a bunch of beers with riverbend malt that I really, really like, but I am a person who gets a little bit set in my ways with some things, and that was one of the things that kind of got set in my way. So, and it's just been like I'm very much like, you know, it's mostly just me operating in here, so like I really try to keep my vendors as limited as possible so I don't get overwhelmed, and they've been really helpful with that, and you know. They've been really great though. They've been a really good partner for me. They send me stuff to trial out like all the time. Which is really cool.
That's cool.
And I've just always been I love the quality of their stuff, and I do think it makes my beer look. Now that Elsewhere isn't around anymore. We are currently the only Atlanta customer too. So I do think that helps me kind of like differentiate my beer from the rest of the community a little bit.
For sure. Do you have a strategy? I mean, outside of the malt that you are bringing in, like, do you have a strategy for your beer? Like, how do you know what you're going to brew from week to week?
Other
like,
than beer that you want to drink.
I know.
Right, yeah.
I'm like, what does that look like? How do you know what you're going to beer?
I do that a little bit, for sure. So one of the big things, like, coming in here to kind of touch back on the initial question about transitioning here, this has never been like a lager heavy brewery, but like if you walk around the neighborhood in here, it's a lot of families. Most of our foot traffic are people that live within a half-mile radius of here, you know, but they're walking over here, which is great.
Right.
And I noticed after I started here, just like talking to the customers and everything, they always kind of lamented. It's like, we would really like some light, easy beers and stuff like that, which already kind of lined up in what I wanted to do anyway. So I was like, yeah, no problem, dude. So that I do a lot of lagers here now, because it's also just that is what I wanted to do. It's been this kind of fun thing where it's like I am making beers that I want for myself too, but I am still making them like for our clientele and our community as well.
Yeah. People like lagers now.
We're primarily a lager and IPA brewery now.
Fuck yeah.
You know,
How's the response from the community been about that?
Pretty amazing, actually.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the people who have like been coming here for years, I'll be here like late one night and they'll just be like, "Hey, dude, I just like really like your beer a lot." It's like, "Oh, that's cool. Thank you."
You're like, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much." I've been like slaving over this beer for like weeks, months. I just want to make sure that you have good beer.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
But I definitely squeeze in a couple of things for myself in there, here and there. You know, even with the lagers too. So it's like I make a California Common.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
I think I'm only one of the only brewers in Georgia that actually does one too, and it's like it's definitely not our best selling beer by any stretch, but it's like it's definitely a beer for me.
Well, it's great to pay homage. I mean, that's the thing. Not just Brickstore, but like a lot of the people that we've known in the beer industry, they have something that for them was really a quintessential point for starting this obsessive passion.
Yeah.
And so even if people it's not in demand, it's like, I still want you to just experience this.
Yeah.
And those ripple effects of like, somebody may not love it, but 3 other people will be like, oh, this is interesting. And then the way that spreads out like roots, that's the whole fucking point.
I mean, the best part about brewpub, about being a brewpub, honestly, is you have so much more flexibility to do those things, right?
Yes.
So it's like, don't get me wrong, I have like my top 4 beers that I always have to keep on tap and like keep those going, and like
your money makers.
Yeah, exactly. We distro those and we do all that, but then I have my fun projects too that are just whatever. It's like, I brewed a barley wine last week.
Yeah.
No one's gonna want to drink barley wine when it's ready in like May. You know, it's like, but it's gonna be there.
It's not gonna be that hot.
No,
it'll be like mildly hot.
It's like I released an Imperial Stout in the middle of the summer last year too. You know, it's just
that's
like,
very Florida of you.
Yeah, it is actually. So, which is because when I lived in Tampa, I went to Angry Chair a lot actually, and it's like I remember just like sitting there, and in the middle of the summer, and it's hotter than hell outside, and then a dude rolls up and just buys an entire case of barrel-aged Imperial Stout, drops like $200 like it's nothing, and then just leaves. And it's like,
He's gonna drink it in his
He's like, I'm over this. I need my Imperial. See you later. I love that so much.
But yeah, no, the big thing's been like listening to the clientele here, and it just so happens to fall in with what I wanted to do anyway.
Oh yeah.
Fuck yes.
I mean, we were here. We had beer here once before you started brewing here, and I
think Chris from Elsewhere was bartending here. Which shout out Chris.
Yeah, Chris.
Oh, that makes sense because Chris worked at Argosy.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I miss Chris.
I know.
We Christmas Eve, we were in a hotel because it was cold, And
talked to him
we
for like
always,
2
Chris and I always
hours.
send Shrek memes to each other on Instagram. And we call each other Broger. And so,
God.
so I just called him and he picked up. But we talked for like 3 hours, like
Yeah,
Christmas
it was
Eve.
wild.
He's out in Charleston, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was just like, "Oh my gosh!" He's like, "I'm so glad he's got plans and stuff." And
Oh, I think
I was like, "Yo, when we have our campground, I was like, we'll have an A-frame for you, buddy. You just come whenever you want."
But we came here. I remember us like a bunch of us from elsewhere. I think there was
No,
a
we
few
did. We
of
showed up at
us
Sceptre because Chris was bartending.
bartending. We were out and we were like, there was a fire or
And
something.
they had both windows open.
Yeah, they had the windows
Yeah.
open and we were just like hanging out and like I just remember having such a great time and y'all have such a great outdoor space. I
Yeah.
can only imagine like whenever it's like warm, semi-warm, all the things like there's like so many people just like hanging out. And
All
I
right,
know
we get on like a Friday afternoon if the weather's nice. Like we are absolutely
and
slammed.
then
Oh,
like
that's
I
awesome.
think
yeah.
out here y'all had like cornhole
Oh yeah,
or
on
something.
Thursdays. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're still doing that. It's like one of our best nights.
I love that so much. It's just so great. Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Yeah.
We're probably close to our time.
Yeah, we're hitting about an hour and a half, but we have 2 more questions
Two
to
more
ask.
questions.
They're not long-winded questions.
So this is a question that we ask everybody. It's been a question that we've asked even before we started the podcast. When we were traveling, we loved to ask this question. And we have like a long list. We should do a thing from it one day.
Yeah.
But if you were to give your younger self a piece of advice, what would it be?
It'd be to chill out.
Yes.
Yeah, just like everything's like gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Fuck yes.
You know, I was a very socially awkward and like tight wound kid, teenager, like even like in college and stuff too.
Yeah.
I was just like,
Yeah.
like all fucking time.
Well, our society teaches us that.
Right. Yeah.
We feel
unfortunately.
both of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
The same.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, it'd be just to chill out a little bit. It's like
Yeah.
don't worry about it too much.
Nice.
Spent way too much time worrying about stuff. And,
Worrying about
Well, it's also
things.
good to see that that's what you're applying now. Like
Yeah.
you definitely do not seem as tense or as stressed.
Right.
I know there's probably stresses in work, but I don't know. It's not the same energy that it felt like surviving. Like it felt like you
Yeah,
were surviving
yeah.
when we met you at elsewhere.
Yeah, no, this is like I've been stable,
Yeah.
Nice.
which is crazy. It's like
Nice.
it's the first time I've really felt stable like since I was in high school. So
Fuck yes. Congratulations.
Yeah,
Good
thank
for
you.
you, Fred.
yeah,
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that.
And then, I mean, the last question will be like anything fun that you have coming up for this summer, this year of 2025 for Sceptre, or even your own personal projects. Let us know.
Yeah, around the time the podcast drops, actually. So we do one of my favorite things that we do here is so like one thing I didn't really touch on here and what I like kind of implement into my beers. I'm really into metal. And
what?
I have
You're
it,
a brewer that likes metal?
I know.
Sorry.
Isn't that crazy?
We
But,
love
like,
we love it too, and we like to joke about it. So
no, but like one of the cool things here is they've allowed me to like
Love
implement.
that.
It's like and it's just like an influencing. So we're not a metal
Yeah.
brewery, but like
Yeah.
I have metal influence in what I do, and
Yeah.
and my bosses let me creatively impart that into
Love
my.
that.
So, but really cool thing. The drummer from Mastodon is a friend of the company. And,
Oh, fuck
and
yeah.
I make a beer with him every year.
that is so
Oh,
cool.
that's so
He's
sweet.
really him and his fiance are like really into craft beer. So we do. So they had a record in 2021 that came out called Hushed and Grim, and we make a beer based on a song from that called Sickle and Peace.
Oh,
That's
nice.
awesome.
And it's
That's
like
sick.
it's kind of become. They did it once before I was here, and then whenever I started here, I was like, I want to do that.
Oh, you're like, I wanna carry
yeah,
on?
So I got to like meet him and chat with him about it and everything, and it's our third time making it now. It's
Hell
gonna,
yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah.
it's gonna-
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's so cool.
It's gonna be out like the first week of April. So
Yeah, that's
Nice.
like a legendary piece to be able to do.
Yeah.
That'll be close to when this podcast comes
Yeah,
out.
it will be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be like out in the market and in the tap room and stuff. So we're
Hell
doing like a
yeah.
little bit of limited distro on it and just
Nice.
have it here. We have like special glassware and stuff
Well,
for it. So
Oh,
I know
sick.
you guys will probably do some marketing before, but before this podcast drops, we'll definitely be like, hey, you got to watch out and look at Sceptre, the Mastodon release. For
Yeah.
their, is it I'm assuming for a name
Yeah,
like that,
what
is
is
it a
it?
barrel aged imperial stout?
no, it's not actually. It's a hazy pale ale.
I was going to ask.
That's so great. I love
I was about to
that.
ask what it was going to be.
yeah.
Well, when you brew it, if you'll send us a couple of snaps, or if you post it, we'll repost it for you.
Yeah.
It's actually I have to dry hop it today, so that's the
yes.
only other thing I got to do today before I head out of
nice.
here.
Oh, sweet.
Well, perfect.
Well,
We'll
friend,
try and
thank
catch
you so much for just sharing your story and giving us time.
Of course, and I'm so happy y'all came through.
It's so much fun to catch
it.
up.
It's just wild. Like I literally remember the day that you came in.
We were little babies.
We will.
We were all little babies.
We were all babies. It's just like it's been so fun to like see you throughout the years and like also follow you, even though we haven't been here in Atlanta. Like being able to follow your Instagram and follow Scepter's Instagram and like know like what you're doing, and so we're really
your journey and
excited.
growth.
Yeah, I mean, but also likewise. It's like
Thank you.
seeing y'all traipse around the country and just do cool shit all the time.
Dude,
It's
trying.
so
We're
awesome.
trying.
We're trying to find a little bit of light in all this darkness, and we found it.
Good.
We're
no,
stoked.
I can tell too. And it's
Thank
like
you.
it's just very fun to
That
see
means
what
a
y'all
lot.
are up to. So
Yeah.
Well, when you guys come out to the West Coast, we have to go to Brewhouse. I bet you've seen their Instagram
yes,
popping
I
up.
want to go so
Dude,
badly.
yeah, I've worked with,
I
Sam
saw
a
that place,
couple of
dude, and I
times.
was just like, oh
Yeah.
my god, no, that's my. I was just in Philadelphia a couple of weeks ago, and I was up there for a show and to see some friends and stuff. And there's a new like bar that's metal themed that opened up there called Doom that we went to, and it was amazing. So
We'll get your email or your mailing address. I'll send you some Brewhouse beer.
okay, so
Yeah, because their shit, especially the matte black cans. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
you fucker.
I gotta
That's so good.
I wear
get
all
out there
black
again.
all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah, me
And
too.
all those beer names
generally.
too are like the Doom, the Desanctifier, and I'm like,
Yeah. I try to name stuff like that too,
Yeah.
or at least like a little more like mysterious.
Mysterious,
Yeah.
but I like.
It makes
yeah.
people. I love like hearing just random people
Well,
trying
you
to
have a
pronounce the
good.
names
You have a
and
good
stuff.
scepter. You have a good reception for that first scepter.
oh yeah.
Like I feel like it's like they like
Yeah.
know what they're coming
And that'd be fun.
into.
Like Sam's a super nice dude. He was at Great Notion before. This is all stuff that we'll leave in. But like, he's somebody who anybody that he enjoys and has familial connections with that are music, art, beer. He's like, fuck yeah. He's like, I'll do something with them. And so I'm like, yeah, we'll have to bug him and be like, you have to go out to Sceptre Brewing.
Yeah, please
and
do.
do
Yeah.
a fucking collaboration.
Yeah, we're definitely looking at doing a little more out of state things over the next
Do
year.
it.
Is like one of my big goals.
Like I said, we're gonna buy
Okay.
campgrounds, so we'll have places for all of y'all to stay
not
when you fly
joking.
out there.
Perfect. Yeah.
Anyways, thank you so much,
Of course, my
Spencer.
pleasure. Yeah, thanks for
Cheers,
being here.
Thank you. This
friends.
is so much fun.
Yeah.